Yo, what's up, guys? So for this video, I thought I'd give you a little peek on how I created this Spider-Verse inspired self-portrait, right? So I'll just walk you through like the little workflow, all the steps I took to get here. We'll first start in ZBrush, then go into Blender, then Substance, and then Unreal. Like this was like for a different project. It wasn't meant to be an Unreal project where I had the Spider-Verse shader. It was initially meant to be like a simple 3D model or a simple stylized 3D model that I could use to create a web page in 3JS where I introduce myself as a web developer. But I digress. Let's get into it. So, we're in ZBrush. I have two versions of the ZBrush project. I have this neutral pose and then another file with the posed version. I nearly tripped over my words there. But anyway, um, it's a pity I kind of deleted the um, the base mesh I started from because I was kind of like working in an iterative manner, trying to capture the style. I kind of like freestyled the style, hey, but used an image of myself and then tried to stylize that. So let me just solo this. I don't have anything that has like steps that also like cover just like how it started, how it looked, and the valley of the suck, going through the phase where it just looks awful. But for the most part, I always try and start from which Z tool is it? Nope. Is it a project? Yeah, I think it's a project. I'm lying. That's not a project. I've been in ZBrush for 10 years and I still don't. Oh, yes, there it is. It's a tool. It is a tool. I always start from this tool because the topology is great. I've found that the scale is also accurate and it's also like divided into polygroups. So it just makes it easier to like select pieces or like sections that you want to start from. And as you can see, I've just got like you know, a bust, right? And this is a remeshed version. Yeah, I deleted the dynameshed version. That kind of sucks, but yeah. So I won't spend too much time, diving into this portion of the workflow or the video. Rather just show you how it turned out more than anything. And then next version. I think this is where I started adding, the high points. And usually use the trim dynamic when I stylize, use the trim dynamic to just like get, you know, flat surfaces that have some sort of like that still have like texture. They have like some sort of texture, right? Because a smooth, clean sculpt is also boring. But yeah, this is not about that. And then at this point, I think I duplicated and then I started using it's a brush. I started using the JA cut. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember where I got this brush, so I can't link it below. But I think it was from a creator on Gumroad, but this was like 10 years ago. So I've just like had a lot of brushes. I've had a lot of brushes on my hard drive, and every time I've installed ZBrush, I've just, or cracks. I think it was also a creator from Gumroad. But I think you could just, search for that. You'll probably find it. But again, let me not go on a tangent, off on a tangent. And then from here, this is where you start adding hair. The hair, eyebrows, and little goatee were like simple extracts. And then from there, you kind of have a polygroup of the extract, which then I Z remesh until I find like, relatively nice topology. And then from there, I'll just use the Z modeler and then Q mesh and then flip it. T-shirt, same story. Like none of this is like fancy. It's just like, simple ZBrush workflows. But here, when I Q meshed this, I deleted the inside of the polygroup inside, so I could have like a lighter shirt. And again, like this is an extract, Z remesh it up until you get satisfied, like topology you're satisfied with. Like it doesn't have to be great because it's not like it's gonna be animated or anything. But yeah, I tried to make it as low as possible because I'm trying to have a very optimal model for the browser or 3JS. It renders in WebGL, so I don't wanna like have to work with something that's heavy, because we're still gonna have the textures, and then I'm trying to figure out how to export materials, or the materials from ZBrush, and then not ZBrush, Blender, and have those materials in the browser as well. But again, tangent. And then yeah, simply a duplicate of that, just in case I want to go back to this version and do something, or like, I don't know, different approach. I don't know, just keep an extra. Eyebrows, cover that. And then the earrings were just like a cylinder. I started from a cylinder 3D. No. I appended a cylinder and then just used Z modeler to get this like little shape. And again, simple modeling principles, right? Like if this is for the sake of keeping the model light at all times, depending on the distance, you always delete the second edge. Let me just example, to retain the shape but blast additional loops. Delete edge loop complete. So this is just an example, but I won't, yeah, but it's not a modeling tutorial, so yeah, basic principle of it. And then glosses. So the glosses were a Boolean mesh, where I started from 2 cubes and then you just scaled them in the respective axes to get this shape. And then where do you go again? You go to make Boolean, and then from there you append that that boolean mesh. Blah, 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 almost tripped again. And then same story. You have your poly groups. You have your poly groups. Let me show you. You have your poly groups. You select one side of the poly group, delete the rest, shape the classes. Wow, like that. And they're also pretty basic. There you go. Shape the classes and then Q mesh them again and then flip. This is just a simple cylinder that was Z remeshed. And then deleted some loops as well. You know, pretty simple. Same principle here. Like, none of it is complicated. But yeah, and this is the neutral version. I'm gonna jump into the file with the posed version so I can show you how I posed it. So here's the posed version. Deleted all the additional tools just to keep the file light. But from here, it was a simple easy plugin, transpose master, you know, the old school way. Again, like I'm not gonna be rigging or anything, so I decided to pose it here and bake it and texture it in pose. I don't mind doing the asymmetrical work on the head because that's kind of like the focal point anyway, and I don't want it to have it symmetrical. And then once transpose master is done, and then it's just a case of crap. Lasso. Selecting all the geometry you want to pose and whatnot. You know, softening the mask, flipping it, softening it from this direction as well. And I prefer using the transpose master over the gizmo because I have more control on where I want it to rotate. So thinking of like the human head, right? And then thinking about the base of the skull. Like if you look up, you start from the spine, and the spine also like starts at the back of like the skull, the base of the skull. So it kind of makes it easier to just place this here and then right at the top of the head, you know, from the center like that. So now you kind of have like a place to rotate from that's roughly accurate. That sounds like a paradox, but it's somewhat accurate, right? And then, oh crap. And yeah, see, that way it kind of like rotates nicely and it doesn't mess with the model too much. Like, look at that. Like, obviously you'd have to clean things like that, like those little bulges there because of the mask. But like for the most part, the way it rotates is very like, you know, nice. And it it leaves room for little cleanup. But yeah, from here, I'm gonna jump into Blender and show you how I set up the UVs. And yeah. So I'm in Blender and this is like the textured version with the outline or stylized outline that I wanna export for Three.js. But you know, forget about the finished quote unquote finished product for now, and let's just focus on the UVs. Oof. Let me just do a little something quick. Backface culling so it looks normal. That was bothering me. Also, I won't miss a chance to like plug my own script. Toggle wireframe. So from here, UVs. The UVs are also nothing complicated, and they're not like the cleanest or best UVs. Again, a lot of focus is on the face because I had like an initial plan of like how I wanted it to look. And plus, I mean, I wear a lot of black, so there's not much focus I would put on like the body, um, the glasses and the earrings. So most of the tile was taken by the face, and the way I set up those UVs was focusing on the face from the jaw, right? So areas like this, I don't mind if they get like less texel density, because for the most part, like you hardly ever see them. Like people always tend to forget, I mean, focus on faces. So yeah. And then we have some UV seams right at the back of the head. Right there. Right now you can't see because of like the post-process outline material, or not post-process, but the inverted normals of from the material. And then there's a seam right here underneath the hair. But again, also this is nothing complicated. All the seams are behind, or all the seams are somewhere where they are kind of hidden. Like right here at the back. Okay. Underneath the collar. And then right here, I had them here along the arm because, well, that's where you find seams on clothing. And then underneath the armpits. Yeah. Like not the prettiest UVs, but like very functional. And they will like, they do the job. They will do the job in substance, or they did the job, depending on the tints you wanna use, while following this tutorial or workflow, not necessarily a tutorial. But yeah, I'm gonna shut up before I continue yapping and going on tangents. So I'm gonna jump into Substance Painter next, and then we'll cover the texturing process. So we're in Substance to cover the texturing process, and I'm not necessarily good at like hand painted textures, and I kind of had like hacks on how to get them. So let me just turn off all these layers. And yeah. So I started off by baking the baking what? Baking the textures. Where the hell? My Substance Painter is all over the place. I'm left-handed, so I kind of do things different. Materials. No. Fudge. Where is it? Oh, texture settings, right? Baked mesh maps. There you go. Baked the normal, baked the world space, baked the ambient occlusion, the curvature, and the thickness. Position wasn't as necessary, but I mean, you can bake it just to have it, and then from here, it was kind of like I exported all these textures out to Affinity Photo to kind of like give myself a little bit of a solid starting point, because after I had baked these maps, I just laid down base colors of what I wanted. And you can see base I switched it to like a single channel base color, and then this is what it looked like. So in Affinity, let me just in Affinity brought in the base color and then multiplied the AO to kind of like, you know, have where like areas are like close together, have the ambient occlusion, and then lowered it because I don't want it that strong. Okay. Kind of like blended nicely with the base color, and then from the world space normal you baked, go into the green channel, um copy that channel, and then overlay it on top of the base color and the AO. The reason why you pick the green channel, because it gives you this nice top down light. Yeah, it is a top down light. Bow, like that, right? And you can already tell that like like this does a lot of heavy lifting, right? So you don't have to guess most of like your values and where you want to place color and all of that. And then curvature, overlay that too. This is just to like accentuate all the high points. Let me show you like that. Accentuate the high points and kind of again fake the light of the high points. Yeah. And then from there we can go back into substance, and then there it is, right? And this is the composited color map, and then from there you just start building. Well, I take it step by step. So just a breakdown. Pow, 1, 2, 3, and this is just to like give them some life. Again, like the painting is atrocious, don't judge me, but like the more you zoom in, pow. And then coming together, and then on top of all that, like just painting the glint to give them some life, and then a little shadow from like the upper eyebrow, not eyebrow, eyelid, duh. Yeah, cast that like little shadow to give it like some sort of like depth, roundness and form. And then go into skin. And you guys can probably tell that I'm not really good at freestyling or just generally, talking off the dome about something. That is freestyling. And this is how I end up yapping. But anyway, pow. So from the skin, oh no, that's the wrong one. So here I started with adding, I don't want to say shadows, but like the darker spots or the darker areas. And this is where the composited map kind of guides us on how to place our color. And because I have darker skin, I used like a darkish brown that heads towards purple to kind of like, hint at like the underneath of the skin. What is it again? The epidermis. And then start painting in the highlights and the warm spots. More highlights on the forehead. More highlights. Little brush strokes. Highlight. Okay. Let me just mute my phone so they can stop messaging me. That's so unprofessional. But hey, we G Sports, as Bum would say. You watched House of Chaos? But anyway, again, back on track. Okay. Yeah, more highlights. But this is a bit like brush strokey. And then okay, this is where I started like adding a little color for the fade on the skin. What is this? I should have organized all of this. Ah, it's the lips. Okay. I also laid down color for the lips, as you can see, state the obvious. And then I added like some sort of like lighter color. Actually, it's too light. I think about. Did I overlay it? What is this? Okay. Yes. I added a lighter color, then used the overlay layer. Bow. You know, like that little pink transition inside your lips towards the outside. And then eyelid, laid down a bit of pink in there. And all of these are like blurred out. Not blurred out, but like blurred because I'm not at the place where I'm still like fully comfortable, just painting or hand painting. Like I don't I'm not fully comfortable, I'm not fully confident in my hand painting just yet. So the blur helps me just blend the colors a bit better. And also I used the smudging tool to help blend colors. So yeah. Yeah, glasses, little highlights of gray, nothing fancy. Okay, see why I didn't use that. And then I added a little texture on the skin so it didn't seem too flat. And you'll also notice in the like, across the Spider-Verse or into the Spider-Verse, they usually have like little, and that's beside like the half-tone effect that they usually have, but like just a little texture on the skin to like make it less boring. And then baked light material. Love this thing. Um, drop that in there. Where are the settings? And then just use the color channel only. The base color channel. Diffuse only, and then just yeah. Lighting, you can play it with the angle you want as well. Again, I just tried to match my composited map. Sky color, yeah, no. And then brought back in a bit more of the curvature. The hell? Why is it low? Oh, I think I might have abandoned the idea of the curvature, so I left it alone. I think that's why it was switched off when I opened the file. And then overlaid another texture, just kind of seal the deal. Even just looking at the skin, it feels like you can feel it. That makes sense in my mind. The texture gives it a little bit of, you know, feel. That feeling that kind of feels feely. But from here, I'll just go back into Unreal. And since you saw the inverted How method in Blender when I was doing the UVs, I think I'll just skip that phase because I want to leave that for a video when I decide to do something for 3JS and JavaScript. And if I don't, well, then you've already seen how it looks like, right? And in regards to getting the inverted How method or inverted normals, there are billions of tutorials online. So, one more tutorial from me is not going to make a difference or workflow or, you know, peak as to how I did it. But anyway, and we're back in Unreal, and I'm sure this is the part most people want to see anyway, you know, um how I got the effect, and it was like the hook of the video too. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm not gonna explain how to import things or plug in. I mean, import things, create materials, and all of that. Again, I'm just gonna run you through uh the overview of everything. So here, right? I'm still kind of undecided. Right now the entire material is unlit. But I think I'm gonna create a duplicate that uses the default lit, and then have the roughness and specular all the way, to 0 and 1 respectively. But the setup here is not really complex. Base color that is lerped with a vector 3, the RGBs, and then I used the vertex world space normal to kind of get this like little, changing color. Let me show you. Color like change every time I rotate around or you look at it at a different angle. So it's kind of like the highlight, because it's unlit. It's kind of like the highlight, or it serves as like lighting. Let me just show you, all these like nice little reds, greens, yellows, and whatnot. And a lot of it is like the Fresnel and the linear gradient do a lot of the heavy lifting here. So I've got a Fresnel and a linear gradient for the color, and then multiply that with steps. So this is how you create like banding. These steps kind of like create banding. Actually, let me just show you that from the instance. So it kind of like smooths it out depending on the number of steps, right? So yeah, this Wow. And yeah, just undo that. And then, uh, texture rotator. Okay, this is the noise section. Wow. This is the noise section that I divided with the Fresnel of the colors, and then we used as an alpha between the base, the texture and the vector 3. And this noise texture I created myself going through a VFX tutorial, and I won't get into that here, but if you would like to know how I created it within Unreal, just comment. And then the last part of the Fresnel is the outline, right? Got line exponent. Again, this does a lot of the heavy lifting. And then contrast to make the black outline crisp. And then, yeah, again, alpha, another lerp. Lerping this, interpolating this entire section right here with this one. And color C is the black outline. Yeah. And then I just love using reroute declaration nodes because I like a clean material graph for my own sanity. I don't want to go crazy looking at a material graph. As you guys have noticed, I am a smooth brain and my mind would shut down. So, just gonna get into the glitch, right? So for the glitch, initially, like I couldn't get what I was looking for. So I found a tutorial on YouTube that just is effing amazing, right? Creating the glitch was a bit complex for me. So let me see. What's his name? Don't mind that. Some CSS things. Again, just trying to get this model into 3JS using JavaScript and HTML and CSS, you know, standard web dev flow. I'll drop the channel or the link to the tutorial below. I think it was Enrique Ventura or something like that. But you know, let me put respect on his name and actually just like he's amazing. His channel is amazing. He has a lot of these like Spiderverse tutorials there, and he covers a lot of like shader work and VFX, and he knows the stuff. So I'm just gonna drop his channel, and then you can get his resources in or from his videos in his Google Drive, on his Google Drive. I don't know. My mind is kind of soup right now. It's 10 p.m. and I want to go sleep. And then this glitch texture I just found online. I'm not gonna share it because it's not mine to share. But let's just go back into the materials, right? So this is a post-processed material right there, pal. I'm not gonna go much into like explaining this because the video I link below from Enrique will explain it much better than I can. But once you understand it or understand what the material is doing, it then becomes easier for you to tweak it or, you know, adjust nodes where you need to adjust nodes so it works for you. And again, like, this is just me being pedantic with everything um aligned and using declaration nodes and comment graphs, because if I ever want to come back to this material and add a bit more spice, I was actually thinking of adding that halftone effect on the skin as well, and then remove the texture from Substance Painter. But that just might be its own post process material. Again, I don't know how I feel about adding it yet because I already like what I have. Yeah. And I set up a little, you know, post process volume because I didn't want it to affect the entire scene. So this scene is just like a VFX kind of scene. But again, let me not get distracted. And pow. Glitch. Yep. And also there is a caveat to the video I mentioned, that for you to be able to create this glitch, you might need to follow another tutorial. Let me just link it. I think it might be that halftone tutorial, where he'll teach you how to set up, you know, these a custom stencil for like blending. Uh, but yeah. I mean, for the most part, that's it. Nothing fancy. It was just like a little, peek, little workflow showcase. A little, this is how I do it. All of that. And again, you can just see like declaration nodes everywhere, because if you want to drive me crazy, have an insane amount of wires crossing with no particular logic or structure that follows what the material is supposed to do. But let me not bog you down with my own idiosyncrasies. So I'm gonna stop the video right here. Call it a night, and see you next time. Like, share, subscribe, whatever they say, and yeah, cheers.